Tuesday, April 22nd. Hebrews 11.8, English. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed. And he went out, not knowing whither he went.
Spanish. Por la fe, Abraham, siendo llamado, obedeció para salir al lugar que había de recibir como herencia, y salió sin saber a dónde iba.
Abraham's story. It's such a huge example of faith, isn't it? Especially the not knowing whither he went part.
Absolutely. It's faith in action, defined by obedience despite uncertainty. He didn't have the full picture, the GPS coordinates, so to speak. He just trusted the one calling him. It really highlights what trust means. Sometimes it's stepping out without knowing the destination, relying purely on God's guidance and character.
How do we cultivate that kind of faith when we naturally crave certainty? That's the challenge.
It is. It's a constant learning process, I think.
Then 2 Corinthians 12.10, Paul says, "Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities and reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong."
And in Spanish, por lo cual, por amor a Cristo me gozo en las debilidades, en afrentas, en necesidades, en persecuciones, en angustias, porque cuando soy débil entonces soy fuerte.
This one always feels like a paradox. Taking pleasure in hardship, how does that work?
It does seem counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But Paul isn't saying he enjoys suffering itself. It's more about the outcome, when he's weak, when his own strength fails.
Then God's strength shows up.
Exactly. He becomes completely reliant on Christ's power, and that's when it becomes most evident. So the weakness becomes the very place where divine strength is experienced. It flips our whole perspective on where strength comes from.
So our weaknesses aren't necessarily liabilities. They can be opportunities.
That seems to be Paul's point when experienced for Christ's sake, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Wednesday, April 23rd. Ecclesiastes 3.1 Hal English. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life.
Spanish. Yo he conocido que no hay para ellos cosa mejor que alegrarse y hacer bien en su vida.
Coming from Ecclesiastes, which can feel a bit heavy sometimes.
Right, with all the talk of vanity and cycles.
Yeah. This verse feels like a moment of clarity almost. Find joy, do good.
It's like an anchor in the midst of life's uncertainties and repetitions. The teacher concludes that amidst everything, the best response is to actively rejoice and to actively do good. There's inherent value in that.
What does do good mean here, you think? Big things, small things?
Good question. Maybe it's both. Finding joy in the everyday and also making a positive difference through our actions, however small they might seem. Consistent goodness.
Makes sense. Second verse for Wednesday, Proverbs 21.23, English. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles.
Spanish. El que guarda su boca y su lengua, su alma guarda y angustias.
Another practical proverb, watch your words, avoid trouble. Seems simple, but
It's incredibly profound, isn't it? The power of speech, or sometimes the power of silence. Guarding your mouth and tongue isn't just about not lying, but also about discretion, timing, tone.
yeah, thinking before you speak, how many troubles could be avoided?
Exactly. It protects your soul, your inner self, your peace from angustias, from anguish and distress caused by careless words. How can we practically keep our mouths and tongues? That requires mindfulness.
Definitely. Something to work on.